Start the recording. So good morning, everybody. As you know, I'm Erica Freudenberger, the Outreach, Engagement, and Marketing Consultant at the Southern Adirondack Library System. I'm really excited to have everybody joining us today for our Becoming Better Readers information session, which is designed to review some of the adult literacy resources we have in our area and to hear about how the Saratoga Springs Public Library is addressing the needs of adult learners. We are fortunate to have three fabulous women with us this morning. We have Christy, who is a trainer for the Newsela platform. She's going to be giving us an overview of the platform and will be able to answer any questions you have. We also have with us Roseanne Anslon, the founder and director of the Tri-County Literacy Center at the Crandall Public Library, who's been working in adult education for more than 35 years, but began focusing specifically on adult literacy after retiring from SUNY Adirondack. Just go ahead and mute you. And Marianne Rockwell, who is not here yet, but should be joining us, holds an MFA in creative writing, poetry from Syracuse University, a TEFL from the language school in Prague, and a MSL Master's in Library and Information Science from the Palmer School. She's taught English and creative writing at Binghamton and Syracuse universities in the Czech Republic. And since 2017, she's been the Literacy Services Librarian at Saratoga Springs Public Library, where she onboards and oversees the ongoing training of tutors, organizes the English language learning and citizenship classes, as well as one-to-one tutoring in adult basic education and English language learning. Christy's going to kick off the session with an overview of the Newsela platform. Roseanne will then talk about the services available through the Tri-County Literacy Center. And Marianne's going to share her experience with tutors and their experience with the Newsela platform, as well as provide insight into how she has organized the adult literacy program at the Saratoga Springs Public Library. So thanks so much to Christy, Roseanne, and Marianne for making time to share their expertise this morning. And I will now turn it over to Christy.
Thanks so much, Erica. And so today we're going to go through an overview of the Newsela platform. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And please feel free to come off mute to ask any questions that you might have. I know this will be a lot of information in a small amount of time, but hopefully should give you some understanding of what you have access to within Newsela ELA. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes,
okay,
thank you, Christy.
Great, thanks so much. So what we're looking at here is the Newsela homepage. Excuse me. For those of you who might not be familiar with Newsela, we are an instructional content platform. We differentiate material at 5 distinct reading levels, and we have reading materials that go from grades 2 all the way to grades 12. And I'll show you a little bit about how you can search for content that might be most appropriate for adult learners. Want to stay honest on time. The time is 10:04. I'll be going until about 10:30. And so as we get closer to the end, I'll show you some ways in which you can look up some professional development and support as well. So what we're looking at here to orient you to the page is the Newsela homepage. We publish 5 new articles each and every school day, and that'll be listed here on the latest news. As you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see things like featured content. We now have a ton of multimedia, so interactive videos, what's popular amongst students lately. We all need a little good news these days, especially with what goes on in this world these days. So you can come to this section here for some good news. We have tons of informational text, as that's predominantly our platform. But we do have a lot of fiction as well, which is published at the original level in which it was published. Poetry and primary sources. Primary sources are wonderful, is that they're differentiated at 5 reading levels. Many articles are also available in Spanish, which you'll see indicated by this little ES sign. And many of our articles also contain power words, which is a tier 2 vocabulary builder. And you'll be able to quickly know if an article has power words by this little lightning bolt indicator. Have, like I said, a lot of multimedia. So we have a specific call out section for multimedia. Opinion articles, pro-con articles are very popular at Newsela, giving 2 sides of one story within one article. And then you can quickly find articles that are available in Spanish by coming to the Spanish section here. And so this is like the latest news homepage. When you go to browse in this caret right here, you'll see ELA, English Language Arts, listed under the subject areas for your program. And because I'm in my staff demo account, you'll see many collections listed under browse, but under yours, you'll just see under subject areas, English Language Arts. So similar to what we just looked at on the news homepage, on our ELA specific homepage, this is going to be geared and tailored through the lens of literacy. So you'll see these tiles and constantly updated. So each time you're coming to Newsela, you're seeing something fresh and new. Here you'll see our featured content. So fall literature, we're in the middle of Latin American Heritage Month. So you'll see text sets, which are groups of articles around a particular topic or theme. Notice there's a number 23 with a few tiles back. That means there are 23 different articles in this text set. And so on and so forth. So it's an easy way to see what's in, how much is in that collection. This left-hand side is more of like a navigation. You could kind of think of it as your table of contents. So it's really great for finding those ELA videos. This section here in the middle, I would say, is our most like meaty section in terms of instructional facing resources, which we'll dive into. Standards and skills, novels and books, great for book clubs, themes and genres, projects and lessons, for example, around writing lessons, which I'll show you. And so in these sections here, I would say are the most robust. I'd like to start us in the review standards and skills section. If looking at nonfiction skills is of importance, you can come to this section here, click on reading skills for nonfiction readers. I'm going to choose secondary readers just for age appropriateness at this point. But you can see here that the core reading skills are identified here, and Newsela has curated all of the articles that tackle each one of these skills in these sections. You'll also notice here on the right-hand side, instructional facing resources. Newsela weaves in social and emotional learning supports throughout the platform, including this section for standards and skills. Newsela aligns our social and emotional learning content with the CASEL framework, that's C-A-S-E-L, so the CASEL competencies, and the C learning framework. You can read more about what the CASEL framework is here. And oftentimes we link out additional resources within these collections, which make it so robust. So if you're looking to use additional PDFs, anything that is blue and clickable is able to be used as a PDF or a printable downloadable chart. Sometimes we link out additional articles like this one here, but you can see many additional resources and supports that embed SEL right within instruction. For those of you who are maybe unfamiliar with what a typical article looks like, I'm going to go ahead and click into an article so that you get an idea of all of the features and capabilities. Although the product is called Newsela ELA, it is a cross-curricular resource, so it has content for science and social studies. You'll see here that this is a science article in the Newsela ELA platform. You'll have the ability to read out loud, and because we're on a screen share with my audio in my ears, you guys won't be able to hear this, but you would if you do it on your computer. You can speed up and slow down that read aloud. We have a seamless integration with Google Classroom. You can also quickly email out this article or share with your social networks, or maybe just copy the link. And if you feel that a particular article, it might be sensitive to your learners, you have the option to hide that article as well. You can start to build your own text sets, which I'll show you towards the end of this session on how you can become a Newsela certified educator and walk away with your own text set. But you can hit that button very easily here and start to build groups of articles around a particular theme or topic that you're working on. Every single article has at least 2 activities. So it has a customized write prompt, which is editable, and a 4-question quiz that's always going to be aligned with at least 2 reading standards. And so right now, as we look at the article, again, I'm in my staff account, so ignore these edit prompts, but you'll see here that at the max level, it was written by Lisa Grossman, Science for News for Students. It tells you when it was published, the word count, who it's recommended for, middle and high school, and what is the level text that we're looking at this point. Every single article you have the ability to annotate on. So click and drag. You can annotate in 4 different colors and provide real-time dialogue back and forth with your learners, or you can use this for your own instructional notes, because it will stay private to you until you hit share with your students. There's many ways to use annotations, and I'll provide some support articles on that afterwards as well. But you'll notice that as the words on the page change, you can use this for further differentiation and scaffolding. So up at the top right-hand corner, you'll see I have the article set to max, which was the original level in which it was published. I can bring this article down to 5 different reading levels simply by clicking, let's say 480 in this case. Notice that the article now says adapted by Newsela staff. The word count has gone down to 400. It's still recommended for middle and high school, but we're now at a text level 2. And so I could provide different annotations and instructions and scaffolding for different leveled learners with that just right reading level. What's the beautiful thing about a licensed subscription that your program has is that this actually, when you're ready to assign, will go to each of your students at their own just right reading level. And Newsela is smart and adaptive. So after learners take any 4 to 6 quizzes on any 4 to 6 articles, it starts to learn their just right reading level. So once you're hitting assign and you're pushing it out to your classroom, each student will get that at their own just right reading level, and there's no work needed from the educator to assign a specific level. What I wanted to mention here is when we're on a particular reading level, notice that that quiz also differentiated down to a 2nd grade quiz question. You can also, as you can see now, I'm at a text level 5, and the reading quiz has increased to a text level 5 as well. If you're doing whole class instruction, maybe presenting on a smartboard, you can put this into present mode and notice that that answer has gone away. So we're not going to show our learners answers when we're doing whole group reading in this fashion. You can exit out of the full screen mode as well. Oops. The top right here. So those are some of the basic functionalities of every single piece of text in Newsela outside of our fiction content, which is available at the 1 distinct reading level. I'm going to go back again to Browse and ELA, which is going to take us back to our ELA homepage. It's running a little slow, my Wi-Fi this morning. As we're getting situated on the page, you'll see here binder, assignments, your content. The binder is where all of the data and analytics live for interactions with your learners. Assignments is where you can quickly see the assignments that you have assigned, and your content is going to be where all of your saved content is. I'd like to show you guys the search capability. Because of our unique program, you can go ahead and go to this search functionality on the top left-hand corner, and you can use these filters to filter content that is going to be, let's say, appropriate for maybe high school, but that can differentiate down to at least let's say we want it to be at least a 5th grade reading level, go to 5th to 12th. We want content that's in English. You can search by reading skill, and we can apply these filters to see all of the content that fits that filter criteria. You can further use the search capabilities by typing in a particular topic. Maybe we're looking at World War II. And now I'll see all of the articles that relate to World War II with those particular filters. This is a great way to filter by content and also get the material that is appropriate for your aged readers, but also that can be differentiated down to a lower Lexile level. So I definitely recommend using this search capability. It's a wonderful way, and it starts to learn your search criteria as well. You can clear your filters, so on and so forth. I'm going to go back into the Newsela ELA platform and show you a few other collections that I think would be helpful for the adult learners. We were just taking a look at the review standards and skills sections. You can use the novels and book studies collection in the high school genre to perhaps support any book clubs that you might have running. Themes and genres are a great way to find texts that are paired texts, for example, fiction and nonfiction. But I wanted to bring you guys your attention to the projects and lessons. You can come into this section here, and media and digital literacy is a great section. Research projects, debates and discussions, and writing projects and lessons. I'm going to click into debates and discussions. This is a really popular topic at Newsela. Again, SEL supports woven throughout. We'll pop into the high school section just for maturity purposes for now. And you can see there are some suggested debates and discussions. We can pop into this one, is minimum wage too low? And you'll see here on the right-hand side, instructor facing only, helpful handouts. So organizing your debate, debate text evidence organizers, accountable talk sentence starters, debate rubrics, after debate reflections. All of these are, again, those clickable PDF rubrics and resources that can go along with your lesson to bring it far beyond just a 4-question quiz and a customized write prompt. So you can really, again, have a lot of robust resources for your learners here. And always pop these lesson sparks, as we call them, out into a full page view for yourself. If you're like me and maybe wearing glasses and half a page isn't cutting it for you, you can pop this out into full page. And so you can come into any one of these topics and you'll see here, again, not only just the resources and handouts for before, during, and after reading strategies, but an overview, what this lesson is going to accomplish, some additional strategies for before, during, and after reading strategies. For example, a group presentation, again, those rubrics, reflections, some teacher questions to consider as you're setting up this lesson, and some tips as you go through the lesson as well. So again, a lot of robust resources in here for you, curated based on this topic. And you can see here there are multiple articles that you can assign this entire assignment to your class. You can create a new class here, give it a name, a grade. You can import it through any one of these existing accounts if you have, or you can go ahead and create a class without it and have students log in with a class code for the first time. You can give the assignment a title, give additional instructions, and then let's say you want to assign this entire set, you can go ahead and do that. Or you can make the choice to delete certain articles. Maybe we don't want to give so much choice. You can move the articles in a different order. And when you're ready to do all of that, you would go ahead and hit assign. So making it very intuitive and easy to assign articles once you're ready, whether that's a single article or a group of articles within Newsela ELA. Backing out to Newsela ELA's homepage again, going back to the projects and lessons, there's so much to explore here. Want to point out at least one more section for you here, for example, writing projects and lessons. A lot of folks tell me, especially during the time at home over the last year and a half, that writing skills have certainly suffered. So this is a really great place to come for creative writing projects and ideas. You can see here we have the writing projects and lessons organized into 3 categories: argumentative and opinion, informative and explanatory, and narrative and creative. So if you want to come into any one of these sections here, you'll see here humor writing projects with an overview and resources on how to use this project, of course, with the standards in which it aligns with as well. You can see lots of fun projects here, from 30-day write prompt challenges. You can pop into that high school content and gives you more lesson sparks for teacher-facing resources, but then these are instructional resources that are student-facing too. So this activity has 30 write prompts, giving suggestions for what to do if you're feeling stuck and how you can complete this challenge, and then a small prompt for each day of the challenge. So this is a really great way to get those writing skills going and practice in use. Again, bringing the lesson far beyond just a 4-question quiz and a customized write prompt. All of Newsela's articles are highly engaging and will capture the attention of your learners. We firmly believe that when students and learners are invested in what they're reading, then they're going to enjoy it way more. You can see here haiku projects, poetry projects, a lot of poetry on Newsela's homepage as well. In our last 10 minutes together, I also want to make sure that I show you guys some resources outside of my overview today of what you'll have access to for continuing education. And if you'd like to explore more webinars and or short support articles or videos on how-tos within the Newsela platform. You'll notice here down on the bottom left, there'll be a constantly updated little box here. Right now, it's about a Newsela sweepstakes, but you'll also see here some like featured webinars and professional development that will be happening. So up here in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see the Educator Center. You have the community of Newselites, so you can jump in here to see how other Newselites are using Newsela. But most importantly, your program does have access to our all access PD pass for professional development on demand. And so this is a great way to get additional support and information on how to's and also how you can bring Newsela ELA to the next level. So within this section here, you'll see materials for getting started. So if you want an overview on how to set up a classroom for the first time, some implementation guides, product overviews even further. So watching, three-minute clips of Newsela ELA, which is similar to what we went over today, but not quite as robust as what we've done. Diving into a little bit more about assigning. Due to time, we didn't get a chance to go too deep into assignments and binders, but you can come to this section here to see more about how to assign within Newsela and some things about annotations, as I mentioned, and text sets. And then how does Newsela work? So if you're curious about our Just Right reading level and locking a level, if you'd like everybody to get it on or as close to the max level as possible before they're able to adjust the settings, that's certainly doable. You can come to this section on how Newsela works and find out. You can see these are all very short, digestible videos under 5 minutes about the right prompt, presentation mode, anything you might have additional wonderings about. This is a great place to come and check it out. Within the professional learning getting started page here, you'll see here, in addition to just like, how-tos of getting started, I really like this section here of teaching today. This is going to help educators, tackle tough topics. So we even have a really great identity course here. If educators are interested in doing their own identity work, they can come to this section here for, empowering them with materials to teach tough topics and really get different perspectives and using Newsela as a resource for that those conversations. We really lean into that work and try to provide as much support and resources for both our educators and our students. We created a specific section for distance learning while we were outside of the classroom, and we've archived that material here. So being able to use Newsela as a purely distance learning resource if needed has a lot of resources here for you. Within this PD Pass, teaching strategies, this is unique to your program in that this is a paid product that you guys have access to. If you're working within other applications, I like this section here of app smashing, being able to play nice with other Newsela, other products out there like Nearpod, Pear Deck, Amplify. So this is one section there. I would also recommend exploring the PD Pass in the ELA section. This is where you're going to get more robust resources about how to dive into ELA further than what we could have done today in 30 minutes. And so you can come to this section here and figure out how you'd like to use Newsela in a cross-curricular disciplinary if you'd like, or teaching literacy. We have some curriculum complements which might not apply to your program, but there's tons and tons of resources here for you to use. Newsela teaching plot, teaching point of view, teaching settings, word choice, embedding social justice in your ELA classroom, lots and lots of resources here for you, whether they're support articles, videos, or courses themselves. Another section of the PD Pass that I want to point out is that your learners also have access to this section. There's a PD Pass for student-facing resources. So just as we have, resources for our educators, you can also direct your learners here to get support for student-facing resources as it comes to Newsela ELA. Last but not least, Newsela's subscription does give caretakers at home resources. So there's a section called out here for our caregivers at home if you'd like to get them involved. And we do offer continuing education training courses here for anybody who wants to take their lesson in their learnings to the next level. I would recommend our Newsela Certified Educator course. The Newsela Certified Educator course is going to be a 5-hour CTLE approved course that is set up sort of like a defensive driving course. You can take it on your own time, come back to it as you have, and you unlock, really great access to our NCE community. So community of learners that are to share expertise and how they're using Newsela in their classrooms. And then you walk away with your own tech set that you'll be able to use in your own program. Tech sets are great because once you have one set up in your program, other educators in the program can access it if you'd like them to, so that you're not reinventing the wheel again and again. Newsela Certified Educator Program is the first step in implementing the train the trainer model. So if you do have a couple of those all-star educators who are familiar with Newsela and want to take it to the next level, they can take this teacher training course after the NCE course and become a certified trainer to implement the train the trainer model. Again, there's so much to learn in Newsela and explore. You guys have access to over 15,000 articles and growing, with 5 new articles each and every school day. Hitting this Newsela icon will always bring you back to the homepage that we started at. And there's lots and lots to explore, and we try to make that nice and easy with our search capabilities and our curations for you all. I'd like to just make sure that there aren't any additional questions. I know there was a lot of information, but would love to open the floor up for any questions or things that folks might want me to jump back into in our last few minutes.
Thanks so much, Christy. I want to start with, can you talk about how tutors can sign into and access our SAL subscription?
Definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out of Newsela. When you are going to newsela.com, you're simply going to sign in for the first time by hitting join now on the bottom here. You're going to choose that you are a teacher in this choice. You could choose tutor, but the thing is, you guys are set up as like a school program. So it might be best for you guys to log in as a teacher and save this section here for your caretakers at home. And Erica, you would sign on as an administrator, but I'm pretty sure you have your account all set up. You can sign in with any one of these single sign-ons if you have them at your program. If you don't, that's no big deal, but you're going to make sure that you use your faculty email that has the same email handle as your program. I think as the same as Erica's email address at the end. You're going to create a password and you're going to hit sign up, and that's going to automatically link you to the program's subscription. If at any point in time you find that you're having trouble logging into Newsela, or maybe you signed up as a teacher, as a student instead, or you signed up with the wrong information, you can hit this contact button form and you can fill out a support center ticket by hitting contact and filling in this information, and that will be the fastest way to receive any sort of technical support. But signing in should be as easy as logging in with your program email address, and then you'll be able to access the Newsela subscription by seeing ELA under the browse content. You can also double check that you're signed in to the correct paid account by checking out your handle on your icon on the top right. Oops, sorry, jumping around here for you guys, but just want to get back to this little icon on the top right where it says your initials, and it will show your subscriptions listed here as Newsela, ELA, and PD Pass. And that's how you'll know you're connected to the right account that has paid subscriptions on it.
So Christy, my group is all volunteers, and so none of them have a sels.edu email address. How would that get handled? They all use their personal email addresses.
Yeah, and that's true for the tutors that are working in our libraries as well.
Okay. So they're going to have to be manually mapped to your subscription, Erica. Sorry, that's not something that we went over together when setting up the access. I apologize, but typically we would need, everybody has to have a certain domain in order to access a subscription. I know it's like a little bit of a unique program in that way. So Erica, if you could get together a list of the tutors who should have access and their email addresses, then I can work with support in one fell swoop to have them as users and double check what that process looks like, because it is a little bit unique for us. But I'll be happy to
Great.
work with
Thank you
more
so much,
closely on
Christy,
that.
for making that work. And we can definitely do that.
Excellent. So thank you so much, Erica. Please feel free to give my email out. We do have a customer success manager for your team as well that I'll reintroduce you to. We're kind of restructuring a little bit here at Newsela. I'll be sure to introduce that person as a point of contact when we go through support for you. And we can handle those follow-up questions together offline.
Did anybody else have any questions for Christy before we move on to Roseanne? Okay, I don't see anyone. Thank you so much, Christy. This was very helpful. I'll get together a list
pleasure.
of tutors and their email addresses and send them to you. And now we will, oh, I think,
There was a
Marianne,
clap,
did
I
you have
think.
something to say, Marianne? You can go ahead and unmute yourself, or are you just clapping? I can't.
I think it was a clap for thanks,
Okay,
but I appreciate
yeah,
that.
my eyes are not, even with my glasses, sometimes I have a hard time seeing emojis.
No problem. I'm going to jump off the line for another meeting, but please let me know in email afterwards if I've missed anything valuable that you need to follow up with.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Bye
And
now.
now we turn it over to Roseanne from the Tri-County Literacy Center. Thanks, Roseanne, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Let me just take a second here so I can get to my screen. There we go. And can everybody see my screen?
Yep, it looks great. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So as Erica said, I'm Roseanne Anslon. I'm the Executive Director of Tri-County Literacy Center. We are located in Esl Library, and that's my contact information. I'll try to go through all of this really quick because I know that it's there's quite a bit to get over today. So as Erica mentioned, we are a new organization, but just to let you know, we do have a long history. So we aren't new to doing adult literacy training. So the first group was actually started in Syracuse by Ruth Colvin. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Ruth, but she's very, very famous in the adult literacy field. She actually started the program in 1962, and she was actually the person who led Barbara Bush into creating the Bush Foundation. So that program is actually based off of our founder's work, which is Ruth. Locally in our area, the group was brought, basically it started off in the Presbyterian Church with the ladies there at a conference that Ruth Colvin did in 1967, 66. A number of ladies decided that they wanted to bring that thought of teaching adult literacy training back to their communities because they were realizing that the need was really, really great. So in our area, Rhoda Baker Henry Clearwater is the person who brought it over. So we've been doing adult literacy here since 1967. Both ladies, Ruth is currently 104 and Rhoda was 104 when she passed away. So that seems to be a really important age for us. The new rendition of the organization was incorporated in September of 2020. So even though it's a very, the group has been together for a very long time, the new corporation that we have has brought the focus back to the local tri-county areas. So we had spread our roots as far as Albany County and Schenectady, but in September we decided that was a really good time. The tutors locally wanted to bring the focus back to our 3 counties, and so we did that. We also changed the focus from being just teaching literacy. We teach not just literacy, but we're trying to work as part of social service organization teams and as a pathway out of poverty. So we are really focusing not just on literacy, reading and writing, but we're also heavily into math skills because we have found that math skills are really lacking in this area, more so even in the reading and writing areas. And we're trying to do partnerships with those social service organizations because we found that the reason that the learners were not succeeding was because they were worried about having heat in the house and being able to pay their rent and not having food. And so working as a partnership has made it a lot more successful for us. As far as our partner agencies go, these are some of the agencies that we are currently partnering with. The Able Reentry Program down at the bottom, if folks aren't, if you've never heard of that one, the Able Reentry Program is actually a program that was designed to stop recidivation coming out of the Warren County jail system. So we are working with inmates who are recently released, and we're trying to get it so that way we can actually start working with the folks who are incarcerated at the moment, so that way we can get them in a better place before they are released, with the hope that their one time or that would be their last time actually incarcerated. So we're really hoping to push that part of the program. We're also a member of the immigrant community stakeholders, which was organized by the LifeWork Community Action Group out of Saratoga. These are some of the other offices that are involved in that. So we are very heavily involved in the immigrant community, hoping to help those folks as well get used to the area. The services that we offer are basic literacy training, task preparation, which is currently the high school equivalency exam. A lot of people refer to that as the GED. The GED hasn't been given in this area in a number of years. New York State went to the task a number of years ago. It is what is also taught in the states that are directly surrounding New York State. So it makes it easier if people are going back and forth for jobs or for family, that's the same exam that's being given by all of the local states. English as a new language, and we say English as a new language, not as a second language, because we're finding that many of the people that come to us, English is not their second language. They know multiple languages. And then the US citizen preparation exam. So what we mean by basic literacy is that somebody has no knowledge of the alphabet or numbers through the 5th grade skill levels. And we find that the folks that come to us in that skill set are people where education is not something that is readily available in their home country if they're coming to us from another country. They were labeled learning disabled in school and then put into an IEP track, which stands for Individualized Education Plan. And there's a lot of leeway in those programs. So depending on the school district, it really depends on what type of education an individual gets, or people who just have attention issues, meaning that they just sort of got lost in school and that no student left behind. They just kept passing them and passing them. We actually have people with high school diplomas who can't read and write. The stats, if you look at the stats locally for that, you can see, I won't go through the numbers, but you can see that there's a larger than needed population locally that is in need of these kind of services. So people that don't have, they're even lower than a 5th grade ability level. So if you see even Washington County, that's 30% of the population can't do basic math. And then the reason that we're really trying to focus on the ABLE program is, if you notice, 75% of the inmates are functionally illiterate, which means that once they get released, they're going to go back and they're going to become incarcerated again because they can't get employed, they can't find housing. When we say task preparation, the task is what the New York State currently uses. There are some online programs, which it's really odd, but if you go through those online programs that are available, if you did not live in New York State when you took the assessment, New York State will count the degree as a high school diploma, but if you're a New York State resident, when you're in those programs, it doesn't count. So we heavily suggest that people prepare for the task exam and there's 5 subjects with that. But once somebody passes the task, or if they passed it as a GED assessment, then they own that for life. They never have to take that assessment again, and we can get them through that. So we focus on it a little bit different than a lot of the other programs, because a lot of the other programs shoot for somebody trying to pass all 5 tests all at once. Our assumption is that learners might not necessarily have the time, or the fact that trying to learn all those subjects and remember all of the content can be really overwhelming when you're dealing with children at home, you're working, all of just life in general is there. So we try to get people through 1 or 2 tests at a time, and they can take the test 3 times in an academic year or in a calendar year. So we find that that's a better way for people to focus, because if they're just concentrating on science and that's all we're trying to pass, they tend to be a lot more successful. So we do things a little bit differently. We also try to use real life experiences. So if, for instance, we are looking at reading and we're trying to improve reading comprehension skills, and we have somebody who is a parent, then their homework each night could be to read a bedtime story to their child. So we try to work it into their life the best that we can to make their time used as best as we can. So again, some more statistics. You can see there's a definite correlation. In New York State, we are actually, our 3 counties actually sit much better than most counties as far as the number of the people who have a high school diploma. But if you notice, the numbers don't jive. If you look at Washington County, only 12% of the population does not have a high school diploma, but there was a much higher rate of people who are illiterate. So you can see that people are getting passed through the system with actually being able to have those skills. And if you look at the bottom, actually, say for instance, if you look again at Washington County, 24% of the population is at 100%, 150% below the poverty level. So that is literally twice of the number that doesn't have a high school diploma. So you can see that there's a correlation there. Again, this is just some more statistics that I won't go into, but we try to look at the 25 to 34-year-old numbers as far as what's working and not working, because as you make changes through the school system, that gives you enough time to see what trickles through and what works, but it lets us know kind of what types of competencies that we're trying to teach. Another thing that we do is English as a new language or U.S. citizen. We hope that for most people coming into us, that this is the first step in their journey, and that we can help them obtain their high school equivalency diplomas once they're with us and they can speak English and or become a citizen. And these are just the current countries that we have students from working with us. We're located in Crandall Library. We are so lucky that we have that space. It's been a wonderful location for us, and we're very appreciative. We also meet in a number of other locations, but this is where our main office is. How does it work? So we do one-to-one tutoring. We work with anybody who's 18 years of age or older. To be a tutor, someone has to have their high school equivalency diploma or equivalent to that or more. Our learners need to be 18 years of age at this time. At some point, we hope to get into working with younger students, but for right now, we're at 18 years of age or older. We don't really do too much with classes, so to speak. We try to stay more with one-to-one. That's our preference. Tutors are given a 10-hour training class. We actually have one coming up starting next week, Tuesday, and we do that through the SUNY Adirondack Continuing Education Department. They're nice enough to advertise for us and to take care of our registration, and we use their Zoom platform in order to do that. At some point, hopefully we'll get back to doing it in person, but for right now, we're doing it over Zoom. We can also do trainings through the Literacy New York platform for the tutors, and we do that. That can be on a self-paced time frame based on when a tutor is available if they can't make that in-person, quote unquote, in-person Zoom class that we do once a semester. So we're continuously training. We also do a lot of peer tutor training. We have a lot of individuals who have been doing this for a number of years. And so they do short training programs throughout the year for our tutors on various topics that they think might be of interest to them. Everybody gets assigned a mentor. There's lots of in-service, and we use a lot of outside organizations as well to help us train our tutors on information that would be important to our learners. I'm not going to go into that video because I don't think that it's going to show up very well. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a delay for that, so I won't go through that. But that's basically our program. I apologize for going through so quick, lots of information, but if anybody has questions, I'm more than happy to answer those.
So, Roseanne, thank you so much. That was just, it's so great. And I'm so happy that we have the Tri-County Literacy Center here. How would our member libraries who might have people who are interested in becoming better readers work with you? Can they get in touch with you and you can provide tutors to their libraries, or what's the best way to go about that?
So the best way to do it is for someone to either, so actually the phone in the office is actually a cell phone. And so that's one good way. So people can do it multiple ways. They can either email me, text me, whatever way they think will work best for them. But as long as people just give me the information, then I don't want to do that. What they can do is they can just so there's my contact information. Email me, call me, text me. You can either do it yourself, or if you feel that the learner is more comfortable, contact me themselves. A lot of times they feel better going with the librarians and having the librarians reach out to me. So whatever we need to do to make them comfortable, I can also come out to the libraries to meet them. I can meet them over Zoom. We can play it by ear, whatever way we think is going to work best to get people to actually come in and use our services.
I don't know if you see in the chat, but Annie's asking, are there any posters or brochures we can post to the libraries to get people interested?
Absolutely, I can send out posters.
Excellent. And if you want to send those directly to me, I'm happy to send them out to all of our libraries.
Perfect, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Roseanne? And thank you so much for this terrific overview. And now, last but certainly not least, we have Marianne Rockwell to talk about what's going on at the Saratoga Springs Public Library. You go ahead and.
Okay.
And
Hi,
Marianne, I'll
everyone.
make you a co-host in case you need to share a screen or anything.
I actually, I'm just going to be talking, a talking head here.
Perfect.
So, hi, everyone. I'm Marianne Rockwell, and I was brought on board at Saratoga Springs Public Library in August of 2017 as the literacy librarian. It's a new position to head a new literacy service under the auspices of Saratoga Springs Public Library, because the need for teaching primarily English to a sizable immigrant population was very clear. We also set out at that time to assist adult basic literacy students, those who for whom English is their native language. And we found this to be more successful if we do it one-on-one as opposed to classes. For years, the library had supported literacy tutoring in classes on site through the local, as Roseanne had mentioned, a 5-county literacy volunteers organization. I was greatly helped by a couple of tutors in the transition to us taking up the mantle, as it were, of literacy at the library from that organization, and who continued to hang on as teachers in classes. We do have class spaces or meeting room spaces that had been used and continue to be used, well, pre-COVID, as classrooms. I received a lot of help from Connie Nealon, people like Connie Nealon, Sue Hensley Cushion through Regional Adult Education Network, RAIN, and her trainings, as well as our own Erica Freudenberger, and the support and latitude granted me by the library director, Isaac Pulver, my direct supervisor here at the library. As for tutor training, we onboard tutors in a somewhat formal manner. We do an interview and a background check. We have a lot of talented people coming forward who want to be tutors, sometimes more than we can accommodate with students. We elected to partner with Literacy New York, Kathy Houghton's Intake to Outcomes program. I believe also Roseanne had mentioned this. It's a 3-hour online tutor training program. There are different tracks. There's ABE, Adult Basic Education, as well as ELL. So that's been our primary mode for kind of hitting the ground running tutor training. But we have ongoing resources that I apprise my tutors of regularly. A lot of times people coming forward have taught in some capacity also, so that's also very helpful. I also attempt to keep apprised of the latest in tutoring, teaching, what's going on pedagogically. I've attended the 2019 Pro Literacy Conference, and I attend the yearly New York State TESOL conference, which, even though it's geared for K through 12, it seems like mostly K through 12 teachers. It's been very helpful to me with nuts and bolts teaching strategies. And I apprise, of course, share any knowledge I have ongoing with tutors. We've also belonged to Pro Literacy, and I'll apprise our tutors of the webinars they have. And I think I mentioned that RAIN has offered a lot of training programs, including I have been regularly trained pre-COVID, that is, in the Best Plus language learning assessment for English language learners, as well as a couple of my tutors, which is just helpful conceptually to have that training. It's not something we do. We were trying to do it on all of our incoming students, but as we are a public library, we don't take a lot of intake information on our students. I'll talk about that a little bit more. So we do that as kind of as needed or as requested now. Actually, we don't do it at all because we're not in person to person. In our library, we're still operating with an abundance of caution, and our meeting rooms are still closed. So everything we're doing is on Zoom. And I'll talk about that some more as well. So who are our students? The stereotype of the Saratoga adult English learners, and that is the primary people who come forward for our literacy program, is the wives of, I heard the wives of global foundries, but so we do have a number of companions of international professionals who are working in the area, but we also have all kinds of other people. We have au pairs, nannies, people graduate students on sabbatical. We have food service workers and janitorial workers. We see students of different ages, some retired people. As a public library, the guards patron privacy, we only need to know basic contact information, their language, their country of origin, and a sense of their learning level. Although we may we see many more English learners. We also, as I said, tutor adult basic education students as they come forward. We currently, for example, have a student who's been tutor for a couple of years ongoing, and she's working toward passing the task. And we also tutor her in reading, writing, and math, which are the things that she's asking for. So basically, we ask the student what they need when they come forward to us and try to help them with whatever they need in their daily lives. We did attempt to have be a better reader type groups. We did that a couple of times. It was not hugely, we didn't get a lot of reception for that. So I think there's a lot of reticence to come forward as an ABE learner. So we're still working on, you know, I'm still thinking about how to bring forward those people. So as for the nationalities of English learners, we have seen students from a variety of South American, European, Middle Eastern, Asian, and African countries. The majority of these students do tend to be women. Sometimes there's an overlap in literacy needs, like a need for literacy in their own basic language on occasion. Resources, we have a pro-literacy membership, which is very useful, has just a ton of online resources. We subscribe to News for You online. It's a very useful tool, interactive tool, which has been great during COVID. Of course, we have Newsela, which is also a wonderful digital tool that has saved us during COVID. We also have subscribed since 2019 to Esl Library, which is a repository of teaching resources. We have inherited some wonderful print resources from literacy volunteers from the previous incarnation, and built on that collection with the New Readers Press Step Forward series of workbooks. And these are consumables. We don't ask students to pay for them. If they're being tutored, we will just assign them a workbook. We also like the Oxford Picture Dictionaries, and the Grammar in Use are really wonderful tools. There's also pedagogical books in our collection for the teachers and tutors. We have added citizenship classes, and we started out just in the last 3 summers with kind of an ad hoc citizenship classes. We have, when people present, from my experience with this, they have a variety of needs. Sometimes they're fluent English speakers, and sometimes they're high beginning English speakers. So they have different levels of needs. They might not attend the whole series of classes. We do have a new series of citizenship classes coming up starting October 5th with a new volunteer who wants to dedicate herself to that. As I had mentioned, we have transitioned to all online tutoring and teaching, or all remote tutoring and teaching, with some exceptions if people are teaching outside and they're practicing safety measures. They're individual tutors. That's the exception, but that was in the nicer weather, of course. And so currently we have had, for the last few years, generally an intermediate and advanced class, but we've added in the last, I think, year and a half, had a regular beginning level class as well. So 3 classes running kind of along with the school calendar, the K through 12 school calendar, but also we've added some English classes, kind of more mixed level classes this summer. And we added an advanced English language learner reading class this summer as well. Of course, what else did I mention about this? So with the Zoom, it's been very interesting because we did lose some tutors with this transition to Zoom, and some students some people who didn't feel comfortable with or able to participate, you know, on the remote environment. But we have in our classes have gained students from around the world. Really, we have an ongoing Mexican student and some Vietnamese students who are now our regular students, and they're just it's wonderful because it really adds value to our classes. And the tutoring is reserved for people who are local. You know, any oncoming people needing tutoring is reserved for local people, because it's just fair. But we welcome people from anywhere to attend our classes, and it's kind of beefed up our attendance as well. Partnership. We are also aligned with the LifeWorks immigration stakeholders associated with them, and I attend their meetings when possible. We've reached out to Franklin Community Center, Saratoga Immigration Coalition, and I'm looking forward to working more with LifeWorks on the backstretch. I'm hoping we can, I've been in correspondence with the new ELL coordinator there. Moving forward, yeah, that was what I was going to say. So apparently there are a lot of year-round Spanish-speaking families. We don't tend to see these families come forward. It's not a secret that we've had some trepidation about people going out of their kind of safety zone, like literal physical safety zone in this area because of some threats to their safety if they may or may not be a documented worker. So we need to find a way to go out to these people, reach these people more. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you,
for
Marianne.
coordinating this.
I really appreciate it. And does anybody have any questions for Marianne? And one question I have for you, Marianne, is how are your tutors using Newsela? If you can talk a little bit about what you're doing with that platform.
I think we're still getting used to it. I think we're still getting our feet wet with it. We have 6 people enrolled, and they did need to enroll as teachers, like K through 12 teachers. So it was a little, and I did in fact just supply the Newsela contact. I've dealt with different people with the list of names of people who wanted to sign up for it. And so I'm hoping to get this video out to people to encourage them to jump in more. And I have had reports of people using it and liking it, but there's just so much there. So
It's a very robust platform, that's for sure.
That's great.
Well, thank you, Marianne, so much for sharing what's going on at Saratoga Springs and for your excellent work there. Does anybody have any questions either for Roseanne or for Marianne? This is a great chance to ask them. And I don't see anybody asking any questions or putting anything in chat. So I'm going to thank everybody so much for joining us today. I'm going to end the recording, and this will be available on our YouTube channel. So thank you and have a terrific day, everybody.